Welcome to the JTV Caribbean News. I'm Sean Rose. With the April 24th target for the second round of presidential elections in Haiti missed, interim President Jocelyn Prévert says the electorate will probably have to wait until October to cast their votes. He made a disclosure to reporters on Sunday, April 24, the day elections should have been held under a political agreement reached in February, just before Michel Martelly left office without a president in place. Prévert said the second round of elections, which has already been postponed 3 times, will likely be staged the same time as the Senate elections on October 30. But the delay has triggered protest by supporters of the frontrunner in the presidential elections, Jovenel Moïse. He is set to go up against Jude Celestin when the vote is eventually held. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says he is deeply concerned that the agreed election date was not met and that no alternate electoral calendar was announced. The political agreement signed on February 5, 2016 between the main political actors in the country set out a roadmap for the rapid conclusion of the electoral process that was initiated on August 9, 2015. A new president was supposed to have been sworn in by May 14th. However, there were allegations of fraud in the first round of voting, which triggered violent protest. Martelly left office on February 7th without a successor being elected. Antigua and Barbuda will continue to speak out against the false allegations against the region as high risk for financial services and the label of tax havens, said the country's Minister of Trade, Chet Green, at a Caribbean Community CARICOM Trade Ministers meeting in Guyana. According to Caribbean News Now, in addressing the issue of correspondent banking relationships, Green said, without correspondent banks, the region's capacity to trade would be so constrained as to make any legal trade virtually impossible. Green called on his colleagues to immediately declare at the end of the meeting, among other things, that the CARICOM region is a non-secrecy area for financial services. CARICOM countries are compliant with international standards set by the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF, and the OECD Global Forum, and CARICOM countries have tax information exchange agreements with every major nation and are implementing the U.S. Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, FATCA. Puerto Rican officials talked tough ahead of a major debt repayment due on Monday, May 2nd, with the U.S. territory's governor predicting default and chances slipping for a restructuring deal with creditors. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday, April 27th, Governor Alejandro Garcia Padilla said there will be a default on Monday, adding that he doesn't think there is a deal on the table that avoids a default. According to Fortune.com, Puerto Rico's Government Development Bank, the island's primary fiscal agent, owes creditors $422 million on Monday, a payment Padilla has said the bank cannot afford. The looming default is part of a broader economic crisis in the Caribbean haven plagued by $70 billion in total debt, a shrinking population, and a 45% poverty rate. Restructuring talks at GDB started slowly this year on hopes the U.S. Congress would legislate a fix. Congress continues to debate a contentious bill to allow Puerto Rico to restructure its debt, but it likely remains weeks away from a vote. Puerto Rico's governor has already declared a state of emergency at GDB and signed a law this month allowing him to impose a moratorium on any debt payment he deems necessary. Officials are reporting a successful conclusion to the third OECS Council of Ministers meeting on tourism matters, which was held in Antigua and Barbuda on Thursday, April 21st. The discussions yielded several agreements pertinent to advancing the region's economic development, such as the continuation of joint promotion of activities in the tourism sector and exploring the possibility via Cabinet of Government Ministers of Member States for endorsement to provide between 0.5 to 1% of respective tourism marketing budgets dedicated to a regional tourism marketing fund. An agreement was reached to explore the possibility of medical tourism in member states as a niche area in the OECS. Tourism ministers expressed grave concern over the limitations of air transportation and are to recommend to the OECS head of government that the region moves expeditiously to finalize and ratify the OECS Air Services Agreement. Ministers also agreed to follow up, where applicable, with the relevant agencies, with a view to expediting the establishment of the one-stop security arrangement, and to recommend to Ministers of Finance to pilot the reduction of taxes on airfares during slow travel to assess the impact on intra-regional travel. That's it for the regional segment. I am Sean Rose.
And coming up next on JTV News. Family, caregivers, and teachers must report child abuse or face prison or hefty fines. CCT celebrates 30 years and a $10 million complete overhaul of the company's infrastructure. And we bring you highlights of the BIBVI trade show in our Hot Trends feature.